Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying what you are hearing. Now, on to today's story. My 27 meters wife, 27F, cheated on me with my best friend, 26 meters. I don't even know where to begin. I can't describe how I'm feeling right now or how to process any of this. I made this account initially to see if anyone else has gone through something remotely similar to this, and unfortunately, it's not that uncommon. I apologize in advance for the length of this post. I just needed to get this all out cause I thought I'd go insane. I met my wife, we'll call her Sue, in college. We were both 18 at the time. We hit it off as soon as we went on our first date and were spewing I love yous within weeks of us dating. She kinda pursued me, but I was glad as hell that she did. We shared our deepest insecurities and secrets with each other. And when her dad passed away in her senior year of college, I was there for her through the whole ordeal. Her father had pancreatic cancer. And when he was hospitalized, I'd spend nights at the hospital with her so she wouldn't be alone. We got through it. And that point in time strengthened our bond. She told me she didn't know what she would have done if I hadn't been there for her. She called me her soulmate. I knew I was going to marry this girl, and sure enough, I popped the question about 2 years after we graduated. At that point in time, life couldn't get any better for me. I married the girl of my dreams, had a well-paying job immediately after graduating, and both our families loved us. My best friend, we'll call him Dave, and I had what I could only describe as an unbreakable brotherly bond, or so I thought. We had known each other since 3rd grade, and he was the brother I never had. He was also married, and moved away with his wife because she had landed a lucrative job at a big law firm. About a year ago, his wife died in a car crash, and this broke him. He moved back to our hometown after, but he was never the same. I tried to be there for him, but he wouldn't engage with anyone. No one understood the pain he was going through. So I asked my wife if she could talk to him, seeing as she had also lost a loved one and that maybe Dave could relate better with someone who went through something similar. Yes, I know now that this was a huge mistake. We'd pay him visits daily. She would spend hours on end at his place even without me there. They were going on hikes together, watching movies and not inviting me, grabbing lunch, all things couples do. Now obviously this was far more interaction than I had intended for them to have, and it did make me uncomfortable, but Dave was doing much better from it. It's important to say that Dave and Sue never liked each other before all this happened. This is because Sue always thought he was a douche. Before he married his wife, Dave was bouncing from relationship to relationship, and even after he got with his deceased wife, he constantly cheated on her. As a result, Sue had a particular dislike for him and always questioned how I could be friends with someone with such low morals. This disdain for Dave is also what made me oblivious to what was to come. As I mentioned, Sue and Dave became inseparable, to the point where she would invite him to things I had planned for us as a couple. Moreover, she started portraying characteristics of what I now know to be classic cheater behavior, always on her phone, becoming increasingly distant, little to no intimacy, and coming home very late. At this point it was all too suspicious, and one day she was texting and I asked who she was talking to. She said it was one of her girlfriends, and when I asked to see what they were saying she became very irritated and called me possessive. When I talked to Dave about how uncomfortable their friendship was making me, he assured me nothing was up and even accused me of not trusting him and my own wife. I was getting gaslit. This continued until one day Sue went out again. She said she was going to her sister's for the weekend because she needed some space from me because I was driving her crazy with my accusations. I was still very suspicious and called her sister to confirm if she was indeed expecting Sue to visit. She confirmed that she was, but that Sue had not yet arrived. Mind you, she had left around 3 p.m. and her sister's place is about 4 hours away from where we live. It was now 10 p.m. Something in the back of my head told me to go to my friend's house, so I did. Sure enough, my wife's car is parked a couple of feet away from my friend's house. At this point it was clear as day as to what was going on, and I hate to admit it, but I cried hard. After a few minutes I decided to go in and see if this is really what was happening. I went in through the back door, which I knew would be open. I quietly made my way in and I could hear my wife moaning. I was shaking. When I made it to the door of his bedroom I could see through the creak. My wife, bent over on his nightstand. I'll never get that image out of my head. I'm literally crying as I'm writing this down. I pushed the door wide open and they both froze, staring at me. It took every ounce of my being not to beat the living hell out of Dave. I just walked away and got into my car. I could hear them scrambling and my wife started screaming at me to stop and that she can explain. I didn't want to look at her. I don't know what I would have done, so I just drove away. I cried the entire drive home and they were both spamming me with calls. I went to one of my college friends and have been here the past week or so. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can't think of anything else. I informed my work of what was going on and they were kind enough to give me time off. I've been getting phone calls from both Dave and Sue, as well as both our families. I let my family know I was alright and would be back soon, but I haven't responded to anyone else ever since. This hurts so bad. I'm trying to be strong, but my resolve is wavering. How can someone you loved so selflessly do this? I don't know what to do. How do I deal with this? Please help me. TLDR, my wife cheated on me with my best friend and I don't know what to do. Help me? I edited this post and removed the self-ending thoughts I had. I read most of your comments but couldn't respond. I wanted to thank each and every one of you who offered support to me through this difficult time. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. You have no idea how much your words helped me think in a more positive light since all of this happened. You all gave me hope that there are genuinely kind and caring people in the world. To everyone who sent me a PM, thank you. I'm going to be responding to as many of you as possible. There were many of you. 50 plus PMs. Thank you so much for the support. Also, I took your advice and I'm currently looking at getting a divorce lawyer to weigh out my options. My friend recommended one who he described as a shark lol. I'll update you all on how things go. Again, thank you all. Update 2, my 27 meters, wife, 27F, cheated on me with my best friend, 26 meters. So I took some time off of Reddit and other social media to reflect on my marriage and the steps I was going to take moving forward. I was getting lots of advice from the kind people on here as well as family and friends. However, I wasn't sure what I really wanted. A lot has happened since then, so this might be a novel. Bear with me. When I looked back on the marriage, most of it was filled with little else but happy memories, which is why I was trying so hard to find a reason to stay. However, when I started thinking about her cheating, how she and Dave gaslit me and made me question my sanity, the only thing I felt was rage. The deeper I looked, the angrier I got. I will never forget how angry Sue would get when I questioned her on where she'd been when she came home late, or the disgusted look Dave gave me when I asked him, man to man, if there was anything going on between him and my wife. The cheating was bad enough, and even worse was that it was with my best friend. But the gaslighting? The ducking gaslighting. I will never get over it. Fair enough, I was played like the fool I was, but it takes a special kind of person to lie so effortlessly and so well. I don't know how they were able to flip the switch like that. I remember one night when she came home late, about 2 days before I found out, she was telling me how much she loved me and how horny she was when she was driving home thinking about me. Now I am almost certain she had come home from Dave's because she wasn't wearing any panties. She had sex with both of us back to back. I ducking kissed her. This whole situation made me feel like a wimp. How could I have let them walk all over me like that? I feel so emasculated. The more I reflected, the more I got the urge to head over to Dave's. But I couldn't. There is no justice for me, not with our justice system. They get to torment me, assault me mentally, but if I retaliate, I'm the one who gets put in jail for who knows how long. I spoke with my lawyer about this and she urged me not to do anything stupid. Not only would I go to jail, but I would jeopardize my chances in the divorce proceedings. She suggested I see a therapist, but I don't want to. I don't see the need. I was still getting spammed with emails from Sue, and they were just making me angrier. She was still spewing the same nonsense as before, and how miserable her life would be without me. She even had the nerve to send me Bible verses on forgiveness. If I mattered that much, why do it? I started going to work again because I wanted to be busy. Being distracted has really helped me cope better, and I don't drink as much as I was at the beginning. One day while at work I received a letter from Sue. I wanted to just throw it away but decided to read it. In it, she talked about her individual counseling and how it helped her discover some underlying issues she was having with herself. The biggest of all being her low self-esteem. She explained that the discrepancy in our attractiveness made her very self-aware and that deep down she wanted to feel desired by someone other than me. According to her, her sister has always been much prettier than her and this contributed to her low self-esteem. She said that even though she knew I was attracted to her and that I made her feel beautiful, she sought that validation from someone else. She apologized again and said it wasn't an excuse, but that she was simply looking for a way to make sure it never happens again if should I decide to give her another chance. She then proceeded to ask if we could try marriage counseling to work things out. I still didn't respond to anything she or her family sent me at this point. So I just ignored it. Anyway, I started the divorce proceedings and the first order of business was splitting our finances, and unfortunately, I couldn't untangle myself from her without her consent. We each have separate accounts, as well as a joint savings account, and unfortunately, I can't take what I'm entitled to from it without her. Even though I make significantly more than she does, and have contributed the most to the money in that account, I'll probably have to split it with her 50-50. So I just proceeded with filing the divorce papers. She was served a few weeks ago, and then the shit show started. The very day she was served, she showed up at my apartment with the divorce petition in her hands. I don't know how she found out where I was. We just stared at each other for what felt like forever, and all the pain from that night came back. All the emotions I felt returned with renewed vigor. I almost teared up again, but I didn't. She looked like she had been crying and she rushed towards me and tried to give me a hug. I gently pushed her away, and this somehow made her hysterical. She started shouting, asking why I was giving up on us so easily, and if we could just talk it out. At this point, I figured I just wanted to get away from her. Looking at her gave me a wave of different emotions, so I wanted to get away before I did or said anything I would regret. I tried going back to my car and she threw herself on the top of the hood. I asked her what she wanted, and she said she just wanted to talk things through, that we couldn't end our marriage in such a manner without at least clearing the air. I relented because she was clearly not taking no for an answer and was making a scene. We got into my apartment and I just sat down and listened to what she had to say. Again, she said she would do anything to save our marriage, that she doesn't love Dave, that she's sorry. She said she did some research on how we can move forward and suggested a trial separation. In this separation, She said I could date whoever I wanted, but that I should hold off on the divorce and at the very least give her the chance to mend our friendship, and then our relationship as husband and wife. She suggested a lot of other crazy stuff like a one-sided open marriage in my favor, tried showing me stories of other couples who have survived infidelity, and even suggested that we should just move to a different state or even a different country, just the two of us. That part kinda hurt me because we had spoken about moving and starting our family not too long before all this shit happened. When she was done, we just sat there in silence, again just staring at each other. And then I asked her why. Why him? Why cheat on me with him and then come back only after I caught her? She started sobbing really hard when I asked these questions. She said she felt really guilty even during the acts, but that she didn't know how to stop. That she was so deep in the affair that he didn't think of the consequences and what she was going to lose. She said that the counseling made her realize that she probably would have cheated on me at some point, if not with Dave then with someone else. This was supposedly because of the same underlying issues that she was unaware of. I asked her if she loved Dave, and she promised me she didn't love him. That they haven't spoken since I left and that she doesn't even know where he is now. That she loved only me and would do anything to make up for what she has done to us. I asked her if she had ever cheated on me before all of this, and she swore on her dead father that this was the first and last time. I asked her who else knew about her and Dave. She hesitated and said only her sister, but that she only knew about it a few days before I found out, and that she implored her to end it and come clean to me. You guys who suggested that the sister knew were spot on. I also asked her why she was begging. Why she didn't just leave to be with Dave. I asked her if she was only doing this because she felt like it was the right thing to do, and not because she actually wanted to be with me. She answered saying that she was doing it because she loves me and because she knows she made some horrible choices. We talked for a long time. A lot of crying on her end, but not for me. I had cried enough when I first found out and didn't have any more tears to shed over this. Then I asked her if there was anything else she wanted to tell me, if there was anything else she was keeping secret. She started sobbing again, and asked me not to get angry. I got really nervous when she said that. She started crying for a bit before I urged her to just say it because she was making me uneasy. Then it came out. She said she found out she was pregnant not long after I had left and that she got an abortion because she wasn't sure who the father was. She said she thought if it turned out to be Dave's there would be no room for reconciliation, and she felt she had to do it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was in shock and she started begging even more not to let this be the end of our relationship. I just went numb. I asked her to leave and she begged me to stay. That we still needed to talk. All this begging was simply infuriating, coupled with the news I just heard. I asked her how far along she was when she found out she was pregnant and she said a few weeks. Then it hit me. Wait. You said in an email that you only started having sex with Dave about a week before I found out. Was that a lie? She nodded. She ducking nodded. She explained that she only said that because she didn't want to hurt me with the details and was trying to minimize it. She confessed that it was physical for less than a month. She tried to console me but I pushed her away. I asked her to leave and never come back. She tried saying something but I just started yelling at her to leave. She asked if we could talk again once I've processed everything and I refused. I told her I had found a job in another state and would be moving as soon as the divorce was underway. In our state, there is a 2-month cool-off period after you file. I had already planned on doing this and was just finalizing everything before I resigned from my current job. I had already given my boss a notice at that point. When she heard this it was more of the same crying and pleading like before. I told her to leave or I would call the police. She reluctantly left, and I just lay on the floor wondering where I went wrong. How did my marriage get to this point in such a short period of time? I just couldn't understand it. I was somewhat sure of the divorce before, but after she and I spoke, I was now more sure of my decision than ever before. I ignored all efforts on Sue's end for contact again. However, a few days ago, this was on Thursday, I received a phone call from my mom that Sue was in the hospital. Apparently, she was hospitalized for a drug overdose. This all felt like a nightmare. I still don't know how to process all of this. Why is all of this happening? I visited Sue in the hospital and she seemed to be okay, but she was checked into a psych ward. That's where things are at now. I still have no idea why she would do this, and the time I visited her, she was asleep. It hurts cause I still love her, and right now I'm just happy she's okay. I haven't been thinking of the divorce given what's going on right now. How do I even proceed? There's probably a lot of important details I'm leaving out, but adding them will just make this unbearably long. I just need suggestions on what I should do next. Edit: I've reposted this to my page because I'm getting spammed with messages asking me to repost. I didn't get to reply to most of your comments, so please chime in. I could really use the advice. Thank you all. Sorry to sound rude, but I thought your wife was disgusting during the initial post, but she is vile. Not only was she cheating on you, not only was she cheating on you with a best friend, not only was she gaslighting the crap out of you, not only was she having sex with you right after having sex with him, but she was barebacking it and got pregnant. Yuck. The one good thing about her level of disgust is how much easier it is to not just make the decision to leave, but to reaffirm that it's the right decision. Also, with all her therapy, she was still lying to you about when the affair became physical, which we all already knew. I bet she is still lying, and it's much longer than she's admitting. All the therapy and she's still manipulating you to stay. She doesn't care at all about you, your feelings or your mental health. It's all about her. Even with her overdosing on drugs, that's not about you, it's about her. She didn't try to self-harm because she hurt you and regrets it, not that it's a good reason to do it, but because without you in her life will be a crappier version of what it is and she will be missing out. All her decisions are still all about her without taking you into consideration. Yup, she is absolutely vile. Lastly, why do so many cheaters feel like telling the betrayed about how you discovered in therapy that you cheated because of self-esteem issues makes their actions understandable? Yeah, it's why every cheater cheats. They are broken and need constant validation from someone other than their own partner. All I hear when cheaters say that is growing up because of certain events in my life I had very low self-esteem and self-worth. Then I found you, someone who I think is so much more attractive than me, and instead of it boosting my confidence that you want me, it lowered it. The only thing that can boost my confidence is to hurt you by emasculating you, disrespecting you and ultimately betraying you, but you understand me, right? I'm damaged and I need you to fix me, and if you try to leave me I can't live anymore because my entire self-worth came from emasculating and disrespecting you. Without that there's no point in living. Anyways, I'm sorry that 1 month later things are still as shitty if not worse. Just know that you are not to blame for any of her actions. This means you were not to blame for her self-esteem issues. You were not to blame for her cheating on you. You were not to blame for her manipulating and gaslighting you. You are not to blame for her life falling apart. You are not to blame for this marriage ending. She broke the vows and thus the marriage. You are not to blame for her unhappiness. Lastly, you are not to blame for her purpose or accidental drug overdose. She is a capable adult who can make her own choices, and it's those choices that has hurt you, broken the marriage and put her in the hospital. I hope you see her as the wrecking ball she is. Causing destruction wherever she goes, and when nothing is left to destroy she tries to destroy herself. Good luck my friend, and hope she doesn't manipulate you back with this little act she pulled. Run away fast. I have followed your story and I am so sorry. I'm glad to hear from you and you seem to be doing better. A couple things still bother me. In the one letter you shared she said Chris and her are both sorry and she has only talked to him once. In this update she said they had not talked since that night. That seems to contradict herself. She also lied about how long it has been going on, again. Only after you put the dates together with the abortion did she come clean again. I'm sorry but it seems she lies a lot. They both gaslight you every chance they got. If you had not walked in on them they would still be doing it and treating you like shit for questioning. Another question is, did she tell Dave about the abortion? I beat her if only in a text. Also you said Dave cheated on his wife before she died. If your wife was worried he was the dad then they did not use protection and put your health at risk, because who knows who else he was sleeping with. Another point for right now is she said the abortion was because she felt there would be no reconciliation if it was Dave's baby. So if you had not caught them, she was already pregnant, would she have come clean or have you possibly raised another man's child? I cannot believe some people are even suggesting to reconcile. You are young, they gaslighted you, lied to you, treated you like shit. Used no protection so put your health at risk, and with all the lying so far and from what I read it this whole story would have had you raise another man's child, possibly. Or at the very least never came clean that it might not be yours. Each time, you discover more things, and the bad thing that nothing is positive, and each time, you realize more of the things that they say and advise you here, they are true, for example, about the sister you know, and about sex which was long before what she said. Worst of all, I am still a murderer, that it could have been your son. But since he had sex with Dave without protection, imagine he had sex with him without protection. If you had not discovered it you could have raised your friend's children. This woman manipulated you, insulted you and lied all the time, and you still believe in her tears. She ducks your friend and you many times. I ignore you, or she treated you badly. She went to the mountains with him and left you alone. She preferred be with him, and you think he doesn't love him. Look, I'll tell you what happened. He contacted Dave, and he told him he didn't want anything with her, and that's why he came back to you. Because your ex-friend rejected her, and I bet you it was that he told her to abort. Don't be naive, I know you're a good man, but open your eyes, not all are good people. The action of wanting to commit suicide is pure manipulation. She knows that you are a noble being and you would try to support her. Wake up, brother, do not let her continue to manipulate you and continue with your things. She never thought of you when she ducks your friend, and all the time that I leave you alone, to be with him. You really think that one time you can forget all the damage and mantras? The Veda is very short, and you deserve to be a happy man. Don't keep hurting yourself and stay away from IT. Maybe you can forgive, but every time you look at IT, they will return so much shit to your head, and you will feel a shit for not having finished IT. Luck and decide what you decide. Think you deserve the happiness of being with someone who teams and respects you, and is worthy to be called your wife and mother of your children. Stop visiting/interacting with her. All it does is make you remember a love that is in the past tense, causing you to doubt your decisions. There is nothing to reconcile here because even up to now she still somehow manages to continue lying to you. Continue with the divorce, wish her and her family the best and go no contact. I'm more inclined to believe that the baby was Dave's and she knew it. Why? She not only did it more times with Dave than with you during the affair, but it was probably always unprotected, so I don't believe there was even a maybe in her mind about it being your child, which is why she so readily got the abortion. Edit: Dave most likely knew about it before you two and probably said he didn't want to have a kid with her. I've followed your story, please keep the divorce going. The drug overdose was an attempt to get you back. You'll never trust her again. Think of the gaslighting. They both told you that you were crazy, that you were the asshole, when in reality your wife was getting ducked by your best friend who you took in. It will happen again if you take her back. It always happens again. This is a terrible story to read, yet I have read this from an objective point of view. Sue is 27 years old and has somehow blundered her way through this marriage by committing all these atrocities, yet at the same time learning more about herself in the process. You on the other hand had taken the sheer brunt of Sue's atrocities. Sue's insecure issue, low self-esteem seems to have also manifested even before you married her, yet she did not confide that in you. It also seems that her actions to a possible commit suicide is her cry to you that if she cannot have you then she has no reason to live. This so-called best friend Dave, do not entertain him in any shape or form. Dave has shown you no respect whatsoever and in doing so is also to blame for your current problem, but also Sue is too. He is now dead to you and he knows this too. There is nothing else to be gained by talking to him unless you want information on what happened during their infidelity trip and pass that information on to your divorce lawyer. You on the other hand do still love her and have made this clear, yet you are still unable to process all this information about Sue's infidelity, lies, the abortion and her attempted self-suicide. I do however disagree with Sue's actions for quoting scriptures from the Bible regarding forgiveness. God has given us free will and most importantly a brain to use and use it wisely, making the correct choices to the best of our abilities. Sue did not do this and, as she stated, didn't think of the consequences and what she was going to lose. In my opinion, she may be an adult but has not yet matured mentally. You really need to seek help from a therapist, and there is no shame in this. Both men and women need outside help for guidance and clarity from time to time and truly need it. From there, decide with a possible clear head to make your next move. There is no easy way to resolve this matter, only you can answer this. You now need to make the decision of what is best for you. I wish you Godspeed. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Have an awesome day or night, wherever you are.